gazumping. Now, nobody really likes to talk about gazumping. They say, oh, it doesn't happen. It's illegal. It's there's a whole range of things that people start getting nervous and agitated and red in the face when gazumping is the topic of the day. Now, way back in the 90s, in 1996, we got changes to the Conveyancing Act, which was the majority of the major changes there were about stopping the practice or minimising or mitigating the practice of gazumping, meaning that when selling residential property, you have to have a contract already in the office, ready to roll before you start marketing a property. Now, we all know that, and that's been around since the mid-90s. So that's great, but that actual practice of gazumping is kind of still around. People are calling it different things these days, and many agents will call it they're acting in the best interest of the buyer, and of course, most sales agents are acting in the best interest of the buyer when they're doing this, and particularly in the hot market that we've had for the last 12 months and the market that's still rolling quite strongly right now. Many purchasers and many whom don't buy property regularly, they believe when they sign the contract and they've paid some money over, they believe they have bought the property. So at that point, it's up to you as an agent to educate your purchaser to know that until the vendor signs on the dotted line, until there's actually both parties of like minds, we don't have an exchange of contract. Some solicitors, some agents are encouraging vendors not to sign quickly because tomorrow there might be a better offer from somebody else, and then the next day there might be an even better offer from somebody else. So people are playing that hot market. And that's great because vendors are very keen to get the highest possible price, but just be transparent. So remembering there's a whole range of issues here around misleading and deceptive. If you are saying congratulations to your purchaser, you've bought the property, this is the best thing, you've signed on the dotted line, you've given me your 10%, we're ready to roll, we'll just get the vendor to sign now. Those purchasers are going to leave your office or wherever you'll leave their home or wherever it is that you've signed this contract thinking that they have purchased a property. So please be very, very clear, because the last thing you need at this point, you're obviously working very hard to get your best price for your vendor, and that's good. You don't need a complaint. You don't need it to turn into something that's going to take your time, your energy. You may have to get legal representation. All of that. You need to be getting on and listing the next property and selling the next property, because that's your job. So be clear with your vendors, be clear with your purchasers. So you need to, one, obviously tell your vendors that you have signed with somebody on the dotted line, that they are ready to roll. If you are waiting, then make sure you tell your purchaser that, there are other people interested, we're talking to other parties, but, yours will be there within the mix. So, and not letting people walk away from you believing that they have purchased that property. So, there's lots of articles around at the moment of how not to let your agent trick you into believing you've into paying more, or that you've purchased and then you miss out. And, they're not mentioning the word gazumping, but that's what's happening. So whilst gazumping isn't illegal, it's certainly unethical, it's about being misleading and deceptive, and that's where you're going to get caught as an agent if you're not telling people the state of the nation in terms of the status of the sale of the property. So guys, just make sure you're doing that, and obviously whatever your practices are around that, making sure that you are clear and open in all of your communications, be they email, text, WhatsApp, picking up the phone, talk to someone in person. Doesn't matter how you're communicating, that it's clear and precise about where they are and the status of the sale of the property. So just taking that one as part of the process.